Hi, I'm Robert, and tonight I was thinking of making Amandine Cake, or my version of Amandine Cake. It's a very chocolatey cake, but you will see that my version is a little different from the classic Amandine because I don't like the cream from the classic one. So I substituted with a chocolate pastry cream mixed with a chocolate ganache. We will see it's a much better cream in my opinion. We will start with 4 eggs, which I separate, putting the whites in the bowl of a stand mixer and the yolks in another bowl. Over the yolk we will put 45 grams of coffee, or about 1 shot of espresso, and 45 grams of oil, and we will mix them well with a whisk. For the moment we will put them aside and start mixing the egg whites on medium speed, and when they start to foam a little, I will slowly add 120 grams of sugar, little by little, until all the sugar is integrated and we have no more sugar granules in the egg whites foam, and we get a shiny foam that has soft peaks. Okay, we got a shiny and very stable meringue, and now I will take a little small part of it and put it over the mixture of yolk and oil and whatever else I have here. If not, this mixture being very liquid and dense, it will all go to the bottom, so I try to lighten it up a bit. And now I pour it over the whites and try to integrate it. I am trying to not pour it all in one place, but spread it out a bit. Okay, now that it's mixed up a bit, let's deal with the dry ingredients. In a bowl I put 120 grams of flour, 5 grams of baking powder and 10 grams of cocoa, and I will mix them a little bit with a whisk to homogenize. I will add them over the eggs and integrate them in the same way with very light movements, mixing until the whole mixture is homogenized. When all the mixture is homogenized, I will put it in a 20 centimeter pan, on the bottom of which I put baking paper, and we will bake it at 175 degrees with a no fan until a toothpick inserted in the cake comes out clean, and if I press the cake top, it springs back, so it has to be very spongy. After 35 minutes, the cake is ready. I will let it cool and we'll get started with the creams. We actually have two creams. The first one is a very easy to make. It is simply chocolate ganache, 350 grams of chocolate with 55% cocoa and 350 grams of cream. We put them in a kettle in hot water and melted them, and we got a dark chocolate ganache that is pretty thick. The first one is done. We are going to put it aside and let it cool down. And the second cream is a chocolate pastry cream, for which I prepared a pot with 5 egg yolks. In another bowl I prepared 20 grams of cornstarch, 20 grams of cocoa and 110 grams of sugar that we will mix with a whisk, and I will add over the 300 grams of milk that I heated a little bit. I will add a little milk, mix again, then add a little milk and mix again, forming a paste at first, and then slowly dilute it with milk, because if I add all the milk now and try to mix it, I will get lumps, my cream will be lumpy, so I add a little mixture and so on. After I added about half of the milk, I will mix the yolks a little and I will add the cocoa mixture over them, and with the other milk I use it to rinse the bowl so I don't get cocoa on the walls of the bowl. You can also use a spatula to clean the walls perfectly. I like this method because I don't get the spatula dirty and so I don't have to wash it. Okay, and now we put it on the stove on medium heat. We will mix it continuously until it boils. When it boils and the cream becomes very shiny, I will take it off the heat and add 150 grams of butter over it. If your butter is not cold, don't add it all at once, add it piece by piece so your cream doesn't separate. Both creams are ready. I'll leave them to cool off, but not in the fridge, because if I put them in the fridge, they will go too hard and I won't be able to work with them. Let them at a room temperature for a few hours or as long as it takes to cool them. For the pastry cream, it will be good to cover it with cling film so it won't form a crust on top. So we will put it in another bowl and cover it. The ganache can be left as is, and we will come back to fill the cake. Okay, the sponge has cooled, so let's start to mount the cake. I will slice the cake in 3 slices, parts, pieces, and we have to syrup it very well. As you know, the Amandine cake is very moist, and that's what I will do with my cake. I have prepared here a super simple syrup, 70 grams of coffee, 100 grams of water and 20 grams of sugar and some rum essence. Heat them a little to melt the sugar, and this is what we will use to syrup the cake. We cut the cake. I cut them freehand. As per usual, the top part I will put it in the middle and the middle one I will put it on top. That's how I do it. I will put them here and I will put a lot of syrup as I said. Okay, the cake is moist, we move on to the cream. I put the pastry cream in the bowl of a stand mixer and I will add the ganache over it. I wanted to show you the consistency of the ganache. As you can see, it is not very hard. I can pass the spatula in it. If your ganache is too cold, we will have a problem. When you mix it, it's going to be hard to mix it and to foam it. And the second thing is it will harden very quickly. As you stop the mixer, it's going to be like concrete. And you will not be able to use it at all on the cake, so it has to be like this consistency. If somehow it's too hard, heat it for a little bit, or if you put it and mix it and it hardened the cream altogether, put the cream a little on a steam bath, warm it up and remix it until it reaches the consistency that you want. And then we're good to go. So we put the ganache here. I will mix the creams. You will see that it aerates very well and it will become lighter in color and will get a very fluffy and tasty cream. Just start the mixer and let it do its magic. You can see how much the cream has lightened in color and how much it has grown in volume. The first thing I do is to take a little bit of the cream to save it because I will use it on the top part. I want to make some swirls. And if I don't take it now, I will forget for sure and I won't have it at the end. And now for the remaining cream, I will divide into three, two layers of cream and the third part for covering the edges, and I will freehand it again. Doesn't need to be very accurate. Let's start the spreading. I have put the two layers of cream, but as you can see, the cake is very soft at the moment. And if I try to put the cream on the sides now, it will be very hard for me because it will move everywhere. What I like to do is to put it in the refrigerator a little for 15 minutes or maybe 20 minutes so the cream hardens a little, and then to do the side, because it is easier for me with a stable cake. Okay, the cream from the cake has hardened as much as I needed it, so I can work to put it in the rest of the cream. If, as it happened to me, the remaining cream loses a little of its volume, or maybe, I don't know, it's not as fluffy, put it back in the mixer. We foam it a little bit, it's not a big deal. A few tenths of seconds on the mixer and it foams up again. And now I do nothing special, I simply cover the cake with the cream and then I pour the ganache on top. A dark chocolate ganache, a 1-to-1 cream and dark chocolate, and I'll make some swirls. Nothing special. Before pouring the ganache, I put the cake in the refrigerator to cool a little bit, because the ganache will apply a little better on a cooler cake. And we just pour it here and we level it out. I will make some swirls with the cream that we saved in the beginning. And our cake is ready. When you serve it, it is best to take it out of the fridge 20-30 minutes before, so the chocolate softens, because the cake is very chocolatey. The cream has the tendency to be a little hard, so that is why it's better to serve it at room temperature, so the chocolate warms up a little bit. That was the recipe. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye bye.